Hello, my name is Noemi Hernandez. I'm doing my presentation on the Technology Integration Framework. Uh, the frameworks I'll be referring to will be the SAMR, which is the Substitution, Augmentation, Modification, and Redefinition framework, the TPAC, which is the Technological Pedagogical Content Knowledge, and the Bloom's Taxonomy 1 and Bloom's Taxonomy 2. For the SAMR framework, first we have substitution, which is just a replacement of traditional tools, and it would have no significant change. So it would be just changing one traditional tool to a technology tool, and that's it. Now we have augmentation, which is enhancing the learning in ways that traditional methods wouldn't allow. Um, and this would have a functional improvement. Then we have modification, which is a meaningful redesign that transforms the learning experience. And here we would have a more than just teacher and student interaction. For redefinition, it's something that completely transforms the tasks and creates a new task completely different and opens up new learning opportunities. For the SAMR framework, there is no chronological order. It does not have to go in a certain order from top to bottom, bottom to top. We can use whichever one we feel like is needed and for that task or that lesson. So there is no order in how to use it. Okay, the ways we can include the SAMR in the classroom would be for substitution, what we could do would be just instead of a paper written, an essay or something written on paper, we could do it typed in a Word document, and that would be substitution. There's nothing would change the lesson, will make it more meaningful. It's just substituting from one tool to another. Augmentation would be the teacher could give a pop quiz in Kahoot instead of a written um, quiz. And this way, the student would get instant feedback from their quiz. They wouldn't have to wait until the teacher would grade the quiz. Then we have modification, which would be students could work on a presentation together on Canva. Um, and this incorporates collaboration between students and makes the lesson more more meaningful. Um, for redefinition, the students could give a video presentation instead of just standing in front of the class and presenting. They could do just like we're doing here with this presentation. So this would be a new method for them. And then students could respond to their peers through their videos, and they can give feedback to each other. So those are the ways we could incorporate the SAMR framework in the classroom. For the TPAC, the key aspects that I saw are the TK, which is the technological knowledge, which is the ability to know when to use technology. The CK is the content knowledge, which is the the teacher's knowledge of the subject or the content, and then the PK, which is the pedagogical knowledge, is the teacher's knowledge of how to teach the content. And then these three types of knowledges can be combined and recombined in various ways within the framework. As we can see in the image here, um, they'll combine, like we can have the technology and content knowledge combined together, or then we can also have the content and the pedagogical knowledge combined, or the pedagogical and technology combine, and at some point they all three can combine, um, to make a bigger impact. The way that TPAC can be used in the classroom is, first step would be the CK. Um, what would we want the students to know? So the content that we want them to know. Then the PK, the pedagogy, is how the teacher will teach this. And then three is choosing the right technology, the right tool that we want for that lesson. And an example that I thought of could be, um, when students are collecting data from measurements for a science experiment, they could use a Excel spreadsheet or a Google spreadsheet, to input all their measurements. So there they would be combining the content, which was the math measurements, um, and then the pedagogy, so how it is taught. Um, then the technology that they would be using is the Excel spreadsheet to input their numbers. Now we have the Bloom's taxonomy. Here I put both of them together, because we have the Bloom's taxonomy 1, which was the old one, and then in the Bloom's taxonomy 2, we have the new version that, um, replaced the nouns from the old one to verbs, and it swapped the top two, the evaluate and create. It swapped those two, verbs, and then, so here it is a learning, a consecutive process, like it does go in order. So students first do start from the bottom to the top, and I think it is much better now that they're verbs instead of nouns, because this is, a great tool for teachers to use, in their objectives. So now we can see how we can use them, implement them in the classroom. So in the classroom, since it is like a pyramid, the teacher can use the verbs as learning objectives, like I mentioned. And an example of what I thought how they can be used is in a science recycling lesson. Um, First, we can ask students to try to recall what they know, um, about this certain topic. And then we will ask students to explain the concept and explain the idea, explain what they know. Then they will, apply it. They will demonstrate it in a quiz. Perhaps they can take a quiz and see demonstrate what they know. And then to analyze, students would, compare and contrast. Maybe they can compare, um, what type of materials can be recycled and what materials can't be recycled. Then for evaluate, students would support their idea. Um, by making a um an explanation, or collecting evidence of why those materials are recyclable and the others are not. And lastly, to create, the students would develop a way of how they could help the environment by recycling. And so that was my idea for using Bloom's taxonomy in the classroom. In conclusion, we can see there are various frameworks that us as teachers can use to help incorporate technology in our classroom. And we can see that integrating technology can be beneficial. I know that it is hard nowadays with one being able to have all our students access technology, have access to internet and other tools for them to um, integrate. But we can always find ways. Also, another thing that I know is very hard is because things on the internet are not always safe, and um, there's also information in the internet that is not always true. But we just need to teach our students how to properly use these tools, and um, make them see how this is beneficial. And nowadays, we know that technology is essential, is something that everybody uses every day, and we can't run away from it anymore. And we just got to work with it and incorporate it into our lessons, and have teach our students how to properly use them. But that would be all. Thank you for watching. Right here, this is my references slide. I incorporated the references that the professor added for us, and I did look at some other websites, so all my references are here. Thank you.